Hello and welcome back for a daily dose of LOL Esports content, where I'm going to cover the two series that took place in the LPL earlier today, as well as preview tomorrow's schedule in the LPL and LCK. Predictions 0-2 on the day, as we had what some would consider two upsets. Theoretically, in the standings, it's not that big of an upset. Both the teams were 2-3 going into it in the first series, and then the second series you had a 4-1 versus a 5-0. BLG obviously are an elite team, so this loss is a thing that needs to be noted. But at the same time, IG are no slouch, and we'll get into that. So, predictions 0-2. FPX LNG first. Duck Dom 4-4-13, 24% of damage, a very even damage spread. And as we go over this, you will realize why. Milky Way MVP, the rookie jungler, went 18-5-11. He was very good in all three games. Zika 898, 30% of damage in the loss. So, even in the game FPX lost, they had a lead in the early game. So at 13:30 in game 1, FPX had a 1.5k gold lead and a 31 CS lead in bot lane, in the bot 2v2. Despite LNG going bot side twice, Milky Way on the Lee Sin was able to keep up with Weiwei. Not only that, but Care also had a 15 CS lead over Scout, and that was in part due to FPX going mid lane. Now, there was a CS diffy in top side for LNG for Zika and Weiwei, and those would end up transpiring into some damage in team fights and make a difference. But in the early game, FPX actually had an advantage because Milky Way on the Lee Sin was very good. Zika on the Yone clearly was the strongest player for LNG in the early game, really taking it to Jalahu. And then not only that, as team fights started going on and we got to the very I would say the beginning of the late game and throughout the rest of the late game, he was dealing the most damage on the team, and that's in part due to, that's why we see him on the board here, right, with 30% of damage. Gala on the Senna seemed to have 100% KP, always raining down ultis and finding stuns and things of that nature. Weiwei on the Xin Zhao, key double kill to secure Baron. And then Scout on the Azir did lead the team in damage in the final team fight that really made a difference. So, with that in mind, LNG win game 1, and it's kind of everybody taking part. Now, game 2, pretty much tied at 14:30. LNG have a 700 gold lead. Go topside twice to try and help Zika. FPX responded by going mid twice themselves. The only CS lead that was really a big deal was LNG 32 CS up in bot lane. Gala on the Varus had 2v2 kills. Zika on the Rumble actually found an opportunity to pick off Milky Way's Kindred and get a solo kill himself. Now, that was important because Milky Way was super, super strong. And Jalahu on the Kesante ended up kind of taking over alongside Milky Way as Care, Duck Dom, and Life kind of just... Duck Dom ends up leading in damage, but at the same time, it was kind of the Jalahu Milky Way show in Game 2. Game 3, 14-15 or so, 14-30, 2.5k gold lead for FPX. LNG have a lead in 3 of the 4 areas. FPX technically don't have a lead at all. The bot lane up 20 CS. But Milky Way and the Kindred, once again, very strong. They were up 5-0 in kills at this point, so despite LNG having all this CS, it really didn't make a difference. They didn't have the gold because, once again, FPX prioritized grubs. In all 3 games, they had prioritized grubs. First spawn. Scout on the Karma did lead a mid-game team fight where LNG were able to kind of stop the bleeding, if you will, and make it close. However, fight at Elder to end it. Jalahu on the Gnar, a big difference maker alongside Milky Way on the Kindred, and won them the game. And then Jalahu said, screw it, we're just going to go right to the Nexus. I don't care about Elder. We're just going to end this. He TP'd and finished the game himself. Interesting picks by FPX. Duck Dom playing Swain bot lane alongside Senna. If you think about that, that is something of the past that maybe rearing its head again. LNG struggling though, right? So swapped in Weiwei for Tarzan after last year. A lot of people want to give Tarzan shit, but the to be honest, I don't know if LNG even had 4 losses either split last year. They might have. They might have went 10-6 or something, and I just, am just inaccurate. But when I think back to it, it's like LNG were not 2-4 and struggling, right? They weren't losing to FPX and Thunder Talk. Different coach, that matters. But then again, you think to yourself, well, Poppy, I believe, was the coach for LNG last year, and now he's with EDG, and they haven't won a game. So, I mean, he's not the head coach of EDG, but it's not like he took what he was doing with LNG and brought it to EDG and made a difference, right? They still suck. And Crescent was with Top Esports, and some people might say, oh, well, Top Esports were not 2-4 bad, losing to FPX. And you could argue this team is better than that one, because that one had like Wayward instead of Zika and the like. So, and I mean Rookie in mid lane, Jackie Love. Like, that team is not a bad team. Now Mark comes over. Mark may be part of the problem too. Partially, I don't want to say it's Mark, especially for this one, because you look at the CS diffies here. I mean, games 2 and 3 of 52 CS lead combined in laning phase. It's not the 2v2 that's a problem. Maybe you could say Mark in the mid to late game is struggling, but LNG have some issues going on. So IG, BLG, IG win 2-0. On 9-1-20, 28% of damage. Cryan 7-1-12. Elk 3-5-6, 31% of damage in the loss. So this is BLG's first series after New Year's, as is IG's. IG swapped out junglers yesterday, if you missed my video. The Lan, who formerly played with Rare Atom last year, returns to IG and starts immediately. And when I talked about it, there is something to be said about there being a completely different look when you have Lan in there versus Tianzhen. Now, Lan ends up playing Brand and Graves, and I don't believe Tianzhen played Brand. I don't think he did. Or at the very least, he didn't do it much in the 12 games he played. So, this is a very different look to IG. So, when you prepare for IG, and you're preparing for the rookie jungler and not Lan, it's very different. Not making excuses for BLG, they suck today, but at the same time, I'm not the type of person that after one day is going to make a big change. I think, if they go against JDG, and frankly, JDG did not look that good against LGD yesterday. So to compare them, JDG end up finding a way to win, but LGD also are not as good as IG, not even close. So partially, in my opinion, if JDG played this IG team today as well, the way they were playing yesterday in their win, they would have also lost. So, it's definitely a thing. I know we're talking about in the Discord this morning. Game 1, close. Actually, BLG had a 700 gold lead at 14-15. 24 CS lead for Bin, 24 CS lead for the bot duo. But Lan had a 32 CS lead on Brand, and he was active. He went top lane twice, went mid, took a couple grub spawns. YSKM on the Camille on another level. Obviously, these are his bread and butter champions. And one could make on HN, the 80 carry for IG, the MVP, because he was very active on that Senna in game 1. Like, playing as the support. Like, it wasn't just like, okay, he's farming souls. No, he went top lane to get that first kill. He went mid lane to try and make things happen. And that's the type of roaming support that I actually like to see. And the fact that he was the 80 carry, playing support, and then they actually have a former 80 carry playing 80 carry Nautilus or whatever they had in game 1. Or I guess just tank Nautilus, farming Nautilus, whatever the hell you want to call it. I think you can make a case for On because of his activity. Lan on the Brand with that lead ended up making a difference in team fights. Of course, Elk on the Varus did keep things close. He was definitely BLG's best player. I'd say Knight also had some nice moments on the Orianna. However, in the end, on the Senna was dealing the most damage and winning them team fights. Game 2, 16-30. IG have a 2.5k gold lead. 40 CS lead for Lan on the Graves into Shun's Kindred. This is bread and butter. Lan is very much like Shun when it comes to Kindred in Italy, so for him to play Graves into it and dominate it is certainly something to note. Another thing, on the Varus had a 2v2 kill in the bot lane, onto Elk and On, so that's a a big deal, right? Because IG's bot lane's not nearly as regarded as BLG's. Leanne on the Graves, though, ends up leading, dealing a lot of damage, taking objectives. Got a triple kill, I think, in the final team fight. Something of that nature. No, Crying on the Nico did. And he ends up getting a great KDA. I mean, hell, I didn't even really talk about him. It was just so much, you're focusing so much on Leanne, and then like I said, I was really interested in how he was playing because I just enjoy that style of support. So, Crying just does well under the radar. 7-1-12. YS Cam on that Camille in game 1 had nice Hextech Prisons, was it? That's what it's called, I believe. Something of that nature. You know what I'm talking about. Altis, obviously, nice CC. So, IG win 2-0. I'm not going to condemn BLG. I was going to do power rankings tomorrow, but I think I'm going to back them up to Monday because we haven't had a lot of games. But, that is something. Sneak peek for tomorrow. LPL, Weibo, Ultra Prime. Weibo 3-2, coming off of a loss to Top Esports. Ultra Prime 1-5, lost to Ninja in Pajamas. Weibo have not played since New Year's. Keep that in mind. Weibo 2-0. Last time they played, they won 2-0. 4 out of 10 starters are the same. Light 12-8-7, 24% of damage. Doggo 0-5-4, 25% of damage in the loss. After that, just got the brown markers in. I got to work them in. This RNG brown looks like honestly, it looks a lot like gold. So you could argue it looks like RNG gold when it works its way in. 2-3, lost to IG. Top Esports 3-1, beat Weibo. Last time they played, Top Esports won 2-1. 6 of the 10 starters are the same. And that's important because LP is playing, LWX is not. Personally, I think LP was wronged. Not to say LWX isn't better than LP, but we could have that argument, I think, based on how LWX has played thus far. LP had 2 supports last split in summer that aren't even starting anymore in Lamau and Lele. So the guy deserves an opportunity alongside Ming, and I think it's going to work out for RNG. Maybe not in this matchup. This is probably not fair to him, but in general, it's a good thing. Tian and Jakulov went 19-7 and 26, 50% of damage in the win. Wei and LP, 9-13 and 19, 48% of damage in the loss. After that, we have LCK. KT HLE, KT 6-2, beat Nongshim, HLE 6-2, lost to Gen G. Last time they played, KT won 3-1. 3 of the 10 starters are the same from that playoff series. BDD 8-6-24, 27% of damage. Zeka 8-4-10, 26% of damage in the loss. After that, well, actually before that, these two are out of order. T1 Nongshim, T1 7-1, beat FearX. Nongshim 2-6, beat Brion. Last time they played, T1 would win 2-0. 8 of the 10 starters are the same. This was during Poby times last summer. And it was actually, honestly, Poby only won 4 games. So these were 2 of the 4. Zeus went 8-3-16, 27% of damage, leading the way. Din had a series you'd probably want to forget. 1-12-4, 15% of damage in the loss. So that's it for your daily dose of LOL Esports content. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube supporter. And hope to see you again tomorrow.